Hi guys, welcome back or welcome to Astrology with Georgie. In this video, and I am actually really excited about this for some reason, in this video I'm going to be comparing or looking at Donald Trump and Kamala Harris's charts post-election. Okay, yes, I have not done this before the election. I'm doing it looking back to see, okay, why is this guy so bloody jammy? Um, and keeping political views out of this. This is not a political video. This is quite simply to help you guys understand astrology, understand how things play out. We're looking at natal charts and transits and progressions and just seeing, okay, what is it that's actually made Trump win over Harris? Okay, what has gone on here? Yes, I have not done this video beforehand because, quite frankly, I actually thought it was a bit of a close call between two of them, and I wasn't sure. I did think Kamala had more difficult transits going on, and I said to my partner, I was like, she's got quite a lot of difficult transits, but it's very hard to be objective. It's very hard to be objective when you're listening to the news and you can hear things and you can hear that like Trump was in the lead, but then you're thinking, surely not. And then you're thinking, oh, surely she's going to win. It's hard to be objective. So I've waited till after. Obviously, we know Donald Trump has amazingly become president again. But these charts are really interesting. So I want to show you the charts. And this really it's for educational purposes only. Please, if you don't have anything nice to say, just don't bother. Just don't bother saying it. This is not a political video. And I'm going to try and keep my own personal opinions about the result to myself. This is just going to be a neutral, educational, astrological video. So before we get into it, if you do get some value from this, please give it a thumbs up. Really, really trying to grow the channel. I know it's happening very slowly. If you don't subscribe, please subscribe so you don't miss any future content. I do try and do all new and full moon videos now with the occasional odd celebrity. So yeah, you won't miss those if you subscribe. And yeah, feel free to share this video if you get some value from it as well, because that also helps push the channel out. If you can see anything that I don't spot, please feel free to comment. I haven't written notes for these. I've just put the charts in a presentation. We're going to go through the charts and I'm just going to say what I see. Catchphrase. I don't know if you guys have catchphrase in America, but it's a TV show where you literally have to say what you see looking at pictures and then you come up with a catchphrase. Right, so we're going to get into it. So this is Donald Trump's natal chart. Also, just to say, I do work in whole sign houses. If the chart looks different to you, it's because I work in whole sign. I don't work in Placidus, okay? I much prefer whole sign. I find it more accurate and it's easier to read. Plus, it's one of the most traditional house systems used. Ancient astrologers used whole sign houses, so that is what I am using. So this might be why the chart looks different if you were to pull it up yourself. It's all relevant though. You know, you can read it in Placidus, it will still probably make sense, but yeah, whole signs. So, Donald Trump's natal chart. So first of all, I thought it'd be really interesting to look at his natal chart just because the guy's so bloody jammy, isn't he? And like, what is it about him that makes him so popular despite his controversialness, shall we say? So he is a Leo rising, okay? He's a Leo rising, and this is very much somebody that loves to be in the limelight, very much somebody that loves to have the attention on them. And he literally glorifies in the attention, he glorifies in the limelight. And this is the epitome of a Leo rising, especially when his chart ruler, being the sun, is up here in the 11th house. So when your chart ruler is above the horizon, you're going to be more out in the open than what you are if it's kind of behind closed doors, below the horizon. Now, Leo risings they have a need for recognition. It's a fire sign. So what he does is going to be, he's going to be passionate. He is going to be, it's fixed, so it's kind of stubborn, but it's brave, it's courageous. And this is somebody, as we know, who just doesn't seem to give two monkeys about what he says, doesn't seem to give two monkeys about, you know, his controversialness. He's bold is the word I'm trying to look for. He is bold. Leo rising, bold, okay? Pluto in the first house, very powerful. The man is powerful, okay? He has Mars in the first house as well, very driven. His Mars is well aspected, it's sextiling his sun. This is going to give somebody a huge, good amount of energy. I mean, the man's 78 and look at him, he actually looks pretty good for his age and he's in completely good health, it seems. Mars trining the moon, great memory, This is, I mean, this is masculine and this is feminine. So well, it's interesting that he actually does tend to offend a lot of women with some of his policies, but we'll come on to that in a minute. But really, Mars trining the moon is like your energy and your emotions are in harmony, and the masculine side of you and the feminine side, it's like this is actually helping him build relationships with the general public. The moon is feminine, but the moon is the general public, and this is helping him build relationships with the general public. Okay. Now the controversy, right? So the ruler of his rising sign is his sun. His sun is in Gemini. It's conjunct Uranus. This is the controversy. This aspect alone, controversial. Sun, who you are. Uranus, individual, chaotic. People with Uranus placements like to stir the pot. Okay, same with Aquarius placements. Like, especially if you have your Mercury in Aquarius, you're going to be somebody that likes to say things that are kind of controversial and wacky. But a lot of the time, it's to stir the pot. I actually think he says things a lot of the time for attention. I actually think it's for attention. You know, his Leo ascendant is like, he wants attention. He wants people to remember him. And he's very clever because he knows how to do it. But it's the Sun conjunct Uranus. This is somebody that is not conforming to the norm. This is somebody that is outside of the box. This is somebody that is very unique. And it's in the sign of Gemini. So this is the things that you say. This is your connection with other people. In the 11th house, groups of people. Okay. The 11th house is humanity. Now, what's interesting is that his north node is between his sun and his Uranus. So his north node, this is his life path, how he grows his soul. In the 11th house of the collective, large groups of people. A lot of politicians have 11th house placements because you're working in large groups of people. But it's the North Node here. So this is somebody whose life path is directly connected to being unique, to shining, to being kind of egotistical. But this is all part of his life purpose. He's actually fulfilling his life path because he's obviously become president for a second time, despite becoming a convicted felon. Convicted felon, is that the right term? Well, we could have had a look at actually when he was got accused of all those accusations, because that may have something to do with these placements in his 12th house. But anyway, we're digressing. So his 11th house placements, this is why he's president. It's part of his whole journey to help, to be involved in the collective, to be involved in humanity, and to communicate. Gemini, connections, building connections, but it's in a controversial way with Uranus here. And actually, this Uranus opposing his moon, this is, erratic, offending people. The moon is a general public, so this is, you are constantly, it's toing and froing. So one minute he's acting like this person, the next minute he's offending these people. It's toing and froing. This isn't an easy aspect, Uranus opposite the moon. It's chaotic. So for him, his emotions are chaotic, and he causes controversy probably from this aspect, I would say, is part of that. He also has Jupiter in his 3rd house. So Jupiter being in the mind, he's a day chart. So his sect light is the sun, and his biggest benefic is Jupiter. His Jupiter in the 3rd house of communication and connection. The 3rd house is your neighborhood. It is your community, and it is your communication. Jupiter here is expanding his ability to connect with others, bringing him blessings. Okay. It's actually ruling his moon as well. So it's ruling, we can see this as the general public. It's ruling that, and it's taking the topics here. So affecting the general public with communication. Now, interestingly, Chiron is here. And it's interesting that things that he says, 3rd house, can be hurtful to people. Now, maybe as a child, he felt like he was not listened to. So maybe he learned to say things in a way that would get him noticed. Okay. Now he has got this square between his Jupiter and Venus. So this is about your relationships and difficulties within relationships, and your need for relationships, and the way that you love. Being intention, Jupiter expands things, and there's a tense aspect here. So it's like an increasing need for material possessions, an increasing need for your relationships. But because Saturn's here, it's like this is bringing things to a stable, bringing things to stability. But it's like in terms of love and his ability to build those harmonious relationships is kind of being overseen by Saturn. So it's almost like, because when you think Venus is relationship building, okay, so he's obviously got some ability to build relationships with people, but he's so offensive a lot of the time. When we look at his Venus, it's like, okay, well, Venus is conjunct Saturn. So it's like Saturn makes your relationships cold. Then with this square to Jupiter, it's like Jupiter's making everything bigger, and square to Chiron as well. It's like he has an ability for people to warm to him, but then he offends people with this square to Jupiter and Chiron. It's like the ability to cause pain and make things worse. Does that make sense? It's the pressure on his Venus that I think causes him this, ability to kind of cause people pain. That could have stemmed from a relationship when he was younger with his mother or his father, but his own relationships as a child would have been definitely influenced by this Saturn. On the one hand, he's probably very good with money, very stable with money. On the other hand, this is cold. So it's like it's putting a coldness on his ability to love. And therefore, I think that has obviously an ongoing effect in terms of how he connects with people. And he's well known for lying. He has Mercury squaring Neptune. Neptune is the deceiver. Mercury is our communication. Mercury in the 12th house is somebody that can keep a lot of secrets and can keep a lot of things to themselves. But it's this square between Mercury and Neptune. This is his ability to lie. And the fact that he's a Gemini sun also gives him the ability to kind of shapeshift and be able to say what people want him to say. That's just a really quick skip around his natal chart. I'm going to move on to his transits because this is where the interesting stuff comes in for the election. So this is the transit chart for the day of the election. And obviously we're going to compare it to Kamala's as well. But the first thing I saw when I saw this, I thought, okay, he's got Jupiter, the planet of lack and abundance, which also rules his moon, the general public, conjunct his north node and his sun and his Uranus in the 11th house. So already this is bringing him blessings, opportunities in terms of groups of people. Conjunct his north node, this is helping him fulfill his life path in terms of groups of people, okay? All the while, Uranus, the planet of unexpected shocks, changes, sudden events, conjunct his MC. Now, we know that this has been skipping around his MC for a while, and this does play into the story of him and his attempted assassinations. Unexpected events, unexpected happenings in the public eye. You could say him winning presidency despite being a convicted criminal is shocking to some people because it is. But what's interesting is that, so this Uranus is sextiling his Venus, which rules this. So Venus rules his 10th house of career. It's stabilized with Saturn in Cancer, and it's being sextiled, positive aspect, by Uranus. So it's unexpected events to do with his career, okay? Whilst Jupiter is on his north node. Pluto is at the 29th degree of his 6th house of work. It's about to move into his one-on-one relationships. Transformations within his relationships over the next 20 years is going to be this is a transit where he's going to develop his one-on-one relationships. So you could say, okay, obviously as a president, he's going to have huge transformative partnerships. This is business partnerships. This is all his one-on-one relationships will be transformed over the next 20 years with Pluto moving in the sign. And interesting that Pluto is at 29 degrees, the critical degree, opposing Mars in his first house. We've had this collective energy of Mars opposite Pluto, this real tension between our energy, our drive, Pluto in Capricorn. Capricorn rules structures and governments, opposite Mars. Some people are not happy about this. But for him, Mars has now moved into his first house. He's like, yes, I've won. When I saw Mars going into his first, I was like, oh God, it's like suddenly he's got all this motivation. And he's like, yeah, it's interesting. And, we could look at, so like Venus, again, the ruler of his career right now, Venus, it's in Sagittarius, which is a Jupiter ruled sign. Venus is happy in Sagittarius, and it's conjunct the moon, public the general public. So you could say that that was kind of part of it. Now, he hasn't got that many challenges. So when we think about, okay, what challenging aspects are going on? Okay, he's got Mars squaring his MC and he's got Uranus squaring his natal Mars, but that's been kind of squaring back and forth his natal Mars for a while. Again, this is part of the assassination attempts. And you know, we can't rule out that those are even over. He has got Saturn in his 8th house at the moment. But if I just show you his perfected year, so basically each year of your life, each year of your life, a different segment of the chart will get highlighted. He is in a 7th house perfection year. His planetary time lord, ruler of the year, is Saturn. Now, on the one hand, you could look at this and think, oh, that's actually kind of negative, and that would make it more likely that he wasn't going to win. However, when you look at his natal chart, he's born in the day, so Saturn is actually more constructive to him than what it would be if he was born at night. So if you are a day, and there's a difference between day and night charts, okay? If you're born at night, Saturn is more of a hindrance to you. But if you're born in the day, Mars is more of a hindrance to you, and Saturn is more productive. He's in a 7th house perfection year. Bearing in mind, Pluto is about to move into this sign. So it's almost like this is a huge part of the story where his one-on-one relationships, business relationships, relationships with other people are going to go through this huge transformation. What's Saturn doing? Is it in the transit chart? Okay, well, Saturn's retrograding in Pisces. It's actually not doing anything. It's just kind of sat there. So it's not being badly aspected. His natal Saturn is receiving a sextile from Uranus. So that's being supported. So his Time Lord of the year, which is Saturn, hasn't got anything meaning that this wouldn't happen. Okay. And then what I think is really key part of this is his progressions. So your progress chart is a timing technique where your natal planets are shifted a day for a year. So basically the first 30 days of your life are constructed into 30 years and then placed against your natal chart. So it's just a timing technique. You don't really need to understand it, but your natal planets shift. But it's really interesting to see where his progress planets are. Because now, first of all, the first thing that I saw when I looked at this chart, and this was before he won, I actually saw that his moon was in Scorpio and that it was squaring Pluto. So I thought that's interesting. Moon in the 4th house in Scorpio squaring Pluto. I thought that was an indicator that he wouldn't win. And actually this would be a really emotional time for him. But now that I know that he has won, it's interesting because it's like, okay, this is transformative for him, but it's these other positive placements that are making this emotionally transformative in a more positive sense, because Venus, which rules his 10th house of career, his progress Venus is here in his 3rd house of community, connection, and it's conjunct his progressed Jupiter. So these are the two benefic planets coming together in his 3rd house of community, and they are trining, where's my cursor gone? His north node, his sun, his Uranus, which, if you remember, Jupiter is here as well, transiting Jupiter. So progress Jupiter is trining, transiting Jupiter. Progress Venus, trining, transiting Venus, and his north node. So this is a huge part of the story. This is like just really good timing for him, I would say. Really good timing. And yeah, so I think that's a huge part. Even though this moon in the 4th house, I mean, wow, I don't actually know where does he live right now? Has he now got to move into the White House, or is he already living in the White House? I'm not sure how it works with presidency, but moon in the 4th is a strong indicator for changes within your home, transformations within your home. So that could actually be what that is manifesting as. And like I said, it's like, what is stopping him from winning? It's, and you'll see in a minute when we move on to Kamala's chart, he's not got as many transits kind of against him as what she does. So yeah, so I just feel like the luck was in, and he's being propelled towards his north node with his Jupiter in his 11th house. this is just a huge part of the story. Now, let's go on to Kamala. We'll just take a quick look at her natal placements. I actually personally don't know anything about Kamala Harris. I really don't. I'll admit that. Now, interestingly, she has Chiron in the 10th house of career. So this is a wound. And this is one of the things I spotted in the transit chart, which I'll come on to. This is a wound, a lacking. So maybe she really will always feel that she's never quite seen, never quite good enough, possibly. Moon in Aries, very driven individual. Sun in the 5th house. Did he have? No. So she's got Sun in the 5th house in Libra. So he had some Libra placements, didn't he? So Sun in Libra, this is somebody that's very good at being able to see things from all sides. She probably would have been a great candidate. Very balanced, very good at building relationships. She's a Gemini rising, so it's the Gemini energy again. Good communicator, somebody that is curious, communication. Her Mercury is in the 6th house, so this shows a direct correlation between her life direction and her 6th house of being of work and of being of service to other people. Her Mercury is her chart ruler. It's in Scorpio. This is somebody that likes to go deep. Trining Saturn. This is somebody that has very practical ideas. Somebody that is, has stable thought processes. It's practical. Maybe quite serious with her communication or traditional with the way that she thinks. But Mercury in the 6th house is somebody that is focused on work. Sun in the 5th is somebody that likes to shine. So, she likes to shine. Her sun is here. She's probably either very creative or very good at connections with children. And it's just that element of expressing yourself in Libra, a very balanced place, like I said. And she's very well put together, which is very Libran as well. Very well put together, beautiful considering, how old she is. Now, I guess, okay, Mars in the 3rd house. And Mars rules her 11th house of people, and it's in the 3rd. So again, this is signs of, a politician, somebody that's good at communication. Again, she's got her Mars trining the moon. This is somebody that energy and the general public, it goes well. Masculine, feminine, the energies are in harmony. Her Venus is in Virgo, so it's detrimented in Virgo. And it's conjunct Pluto. So this is somebody who has powerful relationships and powerful feelings around her relationships as well. But it's in the 4th house, so it's a bit more introverted. And she's got Saturn fairly close to her MC as well. So this is somebody that is going to be seen as, a teacher, an authority figure, which obviously we know that she is. Moon in the 11th, an emotional connection to being involved in humanity in some sense. Sextile Saturn, stable emotions. Now, her Jupiter is in the 12th. So what's interesting about her chart is that both of her benefics are, so Venus is in Virgo. So it's in its fall here, because Venus is exalted in Pisces, but when it's in Virgo, it's in its fall. So Venus is not the most well supported. And this is her biggest benefic planet, because this is a night chart, okay? Her other benefic planet, Jupiter, is over in the 12th house. Now, yes, Jupiter likes being the 12th from a spiritual sense, but some astrologers would say that Jupiter is actually hidden here. So her luck is kind of behind closed doors rather than out in the open. So kind of based off of her natal placements, it's like, has she got that strong enough places to make her become a president? I'll leave that up to you guys to decide. Now, moving to her transits, and one of the first things I noticed was like, wow, she's got more challenging transits going on than what he did. That was the first thing I noticed when I looked at them both. I was like, oh, Saturn conjunct Chiron in her 10th house of career. Saturn is retrograding in her 10th house of career and it's conjunct Chiron. To me, immediately this is like, oh, there's a wound. There's a wound here. There's a pain here. This isn't screaming, yes, I'm going to be president. This is screaming, I didn't quite make it. It's opposing Pluto. She's going through some interesting transits. She's got Saturn opposite Pluto. This is huge transformations, and her structures and her boundaries are being transformed in some way. And it's almost like, wow, Saturn, your 10th house opposing Pluto in your 4th. How are the structures and the boundaries of your career being crashed down from Pluto here? It's like Pluto's tearing stuff down, and that's kind of what's happened. Pluto opposite Saturn is like your structures are being taken away from you in some sense. Um, she has got Pluto, again, really difficult transits, squaring her sun and her moon. She was born on a full moon. This is somebody that's very lively, very powerful. Full moon people tend to be quite busy. But Pluto is squaring both her sun and her moon. Wow, this is transformative time for who she is and how she feels. Pluto is, it's been in her 8th house of transformation, other people's resources for 15 years. So she would have undergone a huge karmic cycle around other people's money, maybe borrowing, maybe benefiting from other people's money. But it's a sense of the 8th house is your own transformation. It's about Pluto is just finalizing this for her. Okay. What was Trump's Pluto situation? So Trump has just, oh yeah, so he's finishing up. So basically he has Pluto at a critical degree of his work houses. She has Pluto at a critical degree of her own self-transformation. So this is more about what she's learning from this, how she's transforming out of this. Now, interestingly, she's also got Jupiter very close to her north node, because even though they were born years apart, Trump and Kamala both have their north node in Gemini. Jupiter is very close to hers. Do you remember with his, it was here, like right on his north node, and with her, it's very close. It's actually gone up to this point, and because Jupiter's now retrograding, so it came up to this point. Actually, maybe this was around the time that she was elected to stand in for President Biden. Now it's retrograding back, it's moving away, but this is in her first house. This is about her own story. For her, this is about her own development and her own story. Whereas for Trump, it's like his is about his service to the collective. Okay, and this is the difference. She has got Jupiter conjunct her north node, so she is learning to become independent. She is learning to step into the limelight, away from her south node relying on other people. She's learning to step into the limelight, but it's different to his. So it's very interesting. She does have Uranus conjunct Jupiter as well. So Jupiter rules her 7th house of one-on-one relationships. Uranus is conjunct here. So this is unexpected changes within your one-on-one relationship. So actually for this sake, I think I heard a few astrologers saying they thought she was going to win. Maybe this is one of the reasons, because Uranus conjunct her Jupiter, it's like unexpected opportunities to build those relationships. But I just think she's just got too many challenging aspects going on here. Mars was squaring her Mercury, which rules, Mercury rules her 4th house, so her emotions and herself. Mars was squaring this. So this is feelings of frustration, which makes sense. The Pluto squaring her moon, like that is rough. Moon in the 11th house. This is emotional need for friendship, emotional connection to the collective. Pluto squaring this, not the easiest aspect. This is bringing up your insecurities. This is bringing up your subconscious fears. This is going to be an emotional time for her. Uranus is also squaring her Saturn, and she is a night chart. So Saturn for her is her biggest malefic. Her biggest challenge is Saturn. She has Saturn in her 9th house of beliefs. Maybe she didn't believe in herself. Uranus is squaring Saturn. So Saturn is our structures, it's our discipline, it's our rules, it's where we hold our fears. And Uranus is squaring this. So this is bringing, unexpected changes around your structures, unexpected changes around your goals, unexpected changes around your, bringing those fears up. But a square aspect is tense. Saturn rules her 8th house of transformation. So this is all about her own transformation, her own development and learning, and going kind of, it's more of the emotional stuff coming up from her. Pluto squaring her sun and her moon, it's bringing all the emotions to the surface. Pluto in her 8th house of transformation, emotional. There's just seems to be a lot of kind of emotional stuff going on for her. Saturn opposite Pluto, like yeah, like the structures are being torn down. Her goals are being demolished. You could say that her goals are being demolished here, and it's causing a pain, Chiron. So, yeah, it's just not. It's just not. She's got too many negative things going on to kind of power through winning against Trump. Progressions. I just wanted to look and see if there was anything in here suggesting that she might win. Now, I did think she did have her progress moon in the second house. I was like, okay, her money obviously improved. That could be potential. She's got her progress sun is in her seventh house. So again, it's going to be important for her to be building these one-on-one relationships, and her Venus is here as well. But it just didn't seem as you've got Mercury going backwards here. So Mercury retrograding in her seventh house of one-on-one relationships. And also her Jupiter. Remember I said about Jupiter kind of being hidden. It's now retrograded back and it's opposing her Neptune in her sixth house of work. So this is almost like adding some confusion to her daily work, some confusion to what's going on and how she can be of service. It's like the planet of luck is bringing some confusion or making her kind of have to turn to her beliefs in some sense in order to deal with not being the winner of the election. She is in a first house perfection year as well. So let's look at what Mercury is doing. Again, Mercury is retrograding in her seventh house in Sagittarius, where it's in its fall. Mercury doesn't like being in Sagittarius, and in the transit chart, Mercury is in Sagittarius in its sign of its detriment because it rules Gemini. It's in the sign of its detriment. She's in a seventh house perfected year. Sorry, she's in a first house perfected year. So what Mercury is doing is important. Her natal Mercury, again, under pressure from Mars, transiting Mercury in the sign of its detriment. Whereas if we looked at Trump's, remember Trump was Saturn. What was happening with Saturn? It wasn't being badly aspected here. Nothing was happening. And it was actually being supported here from Uranus. So those time lords are important. Is there anything else in her progress chart I wanted to mention? I thought it was also interesting that she's actually just gone past the full moon phase. So if you look at her progress full moon, so her progress sun is here and her progress moon is here. So she's actually already gone past the full moon phase. So when you're past the full moon phase, it's kind of like you've had your completion and your moment of shining, and then you're going to start integrating what you've learned, and then you're going to start coming down. So I thought that was interesting. Trump's progressions. So he is building in light. His progress sun is here, his progress moon is here. He is building. He's building in light. So if you know anything about the moon phases, obviously when the moon is here, it's a new moon, it's a new beginning. As the moon moves away from the sun, you're building in light. So what you're building starts to expand. So I thought that was interesting that she was past the full moon phase. So I think we've mentioned most of the transits, but going back to basically, she's got more challenging transits in the transit chart than what he had. Because quite frankly, all I can keep looking at is this Jupiter conjunct his North Node. Oh, and it is trining his, yeah, and it's trining his natal Jupiter. And then we said about the progressions, didn't we? So it's even trining his natal Jupiter. So Jupiter's a planet of luck. Like this, you could just say that this is nothing more than luck. Or if you believe that everything happens exactly as it's supposed to, like I do, then call it what you will. But this guy he's just the timing. This was meant to happen. And if you're watching this and you're really upset about the result, then my condolences go out to America for the people that this is going to affect. I know he does have some policies that are beneficial. Anyway, I said I wasn't going to be giving my opinion, but yeah, I just feel like in these situations we should always say everything is always working out as it's supposed to. This was part of his life journey. He has won the election, and the astrology is really highlighting just a really lucky time for him, and his chart is playing out, and you can't deny the accuracy of it. And unfortunately for Kamala, she's going through a bit of a hard time, poor old girl. Gosh, Pluto on the moon and the sun at the same time. Yeah, she I wonder what she'll do after this. I don't know how these things work in politics. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see kind of what she does from now. But that is the astrology, guys. Please let me know your thoughts. It's interesting, isn't it? Yeah. So please, obviously, just don't. We don't need the abuse. We don't need any political arguments. But any astrological insights, if I've missed anything, which I probably have because I've just been kind of skipping around, then do let me know in the comments. Let me know your thoughts, and don't forget to subscribe and give this a thumbs up. If you got some value, click it right now. Click that like button. I really appreciate it. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.